recording this, and then we'll go to our PowerPoint. Okay. So welcome back, guys. Oh, I put 30 there. It's actually 20. Wow. Fix that. Okay. Okay. So, just a little bit of what we're gonna do today. Today's gonna be pretty easy, pretty simple. So we'll review what we started going over last week. We'll review the prepositions. We'll go over the homework. It was just like the matching the prepositions with what they mean, pretty simple. We'll review the vocabulary that we went over. We'll review the verb estar and how to use that and things like that. And we'll start like description words, like describing like yourself and others, like adjectives, things like that. And we might start going over the verb ser, but we'll see if we have time. And then we'll go over the instructions for the homework. So just to start going over the prepositions that we learned the other week, we have in, which is in or on something. Aquí is here. Allí is there. Al lado de is next to or on the side of. Lejos de is far from. Cerca de is close to or like around something, like in the general area of something. A la derecha de is to the right of. A la izquierda de is to the left of. Con, with, and encima de or encima del is on top of. Does anybody have any questions on that? So just some more prepositions that we went over. I'm just giving you guys a lot of them just so you know. Like you're not gonna actually have to know these like by heart, but it's just good to go over them and so you get familiar with them because sometimes it does take a lot of time to learn them. So we have a is at or to, debajo de is under, contra is against, desde is from or since, hacia is until or towards, para is for or in order to, según is according to, sobre is about, ante or antes is before or in the presence of, de is of or from, detrás de is behind, entre is between, hasta is until, por is for or by, sin is without, detrás or detrás de is after or behind. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions or anything on the preposition words? Let me just write down the Gabby's here. Okay, so moving on. Just to review like the subjects of sentences because that's important when we go over like a star and things like that. So we'll go over all that. But just to go over like the common subjects that you'll see like in sentences, just so you know. Yo is I. Tú is you. Él is he. Ella is she. Usted is you formal, and we went over that more or less. Nosotros and nosotras is we. Ellos and ellas is they. Ustedes is like you guys, like when you're talking to more than one person. And we can actually go over the homework now because we went through the prepositions. Right here. Okay. So does anybody want to, so all you had to do was match the preposition words to what they mean on the right here. So does anybody want to tell me what they matched lejos de with? Yeah, there were 3 of them on here that weren't on our vocabulary list. So I just crossed them out because I didn't really like the definitions of them, but they weren't like what exactly I thought they meant. So does anybody want to tell me what they put for these? Lejos de, right? That's, let's go back to our list here, is far from, right? So you would match lejos de with far from right here. Cerca de is the opposite of lejos de. Cerca is right here, close to or around. So near, same thing. Yep. A la derecha de, let's go here. Oh, you see it's to the right of, right? So you would match that with right here. Encima de, so here, oh, and we see it means on top of. So that would be like, I mean, you could say like above, like it's the same thing, a top on above. So that's what you would match with that. A la izquierda de, that's the opposite of a la derecha. So let's go here. And a la izquierda de is to the left of. So that would go right here. So you'd match these two together. Debajo de is, oh, we don't have it on this one, but it's right here, is under, right? So you would match debajo de with underneath. Yep. In, and this one we went over, and that one's on this slide, is in or on. Okay. So that one would go right here. And then that was all you had to do. And these were just some examples down here of sentences with prepositions. So that was just kind of to get you familiar with the prepositions and how to use them and things like that. So does anybody have any questions or anything on the prepositions or the homework? Or is everybody kind of okay with that? Okay. Okay, so we went over that. So remember, let's go over the conjugations of a star. And a star is our verb that means to be. So like I said, there is like a whole system to conjugating verbs, but a star is an irregular verb. So you don't follow that whole system when you conjugate a star. So the best thing that you can do when you're learning how to conjugate a star is just to remember how to conjugate it and what it means. So as you can see, our subjects are right here. So we change the verb estar based on who the subject is, as you can see. And in Spanish, if you want to use the subject, you could say like, yo estoy aquí. That would mean I'm here. You can say that, or if you just want to say estoy aquí, that also means I'm here. Because all of the forms are different, like you see, they're different based on who the subject is. Using the subject in the sentence is optional. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can just say the verb, but either way is completely fine. So to start out, we have yo estoy is I am, and you can see that. And usually the rule of thumb when you're conjugating verbs is to take the ending off, which is always AR, ER, or IR. So this one's AR. So you would just take that off and you're stuck with the EST, which is called the stem. And then you add like the endings onto the stem, which you can see that's what we did here. So yo estoy is I am. And also don't worry about all the things that I said. I'm just trying to explain this a little bit more. It can be a little bit difficult, I know. So tú estás is you are.
Tell you the other way to get.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good in yourself?
What?
I said good in yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So like I was saying, remember we said that yo is I, tú is you, so you are. El, ella, and usted, they all have the same conjugation. They all are conjugated está. So it's él está, he is. Ella está, she is. Usted está, you are. You formal are. Does that make sense to everybody? We okay with that? Okay, so then we have nosotros or nosotras estamos. We are. And
Okay, I hopped on my phone. So I'm about to hop off the laptop.
okay, all right, that's fine.
There we go. Now you can hear me better?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so then we have ellos or ellas or ustedes están. And these are conjugated these are conjugated the same way as well. So they are, ustedes están, you guys are. So remember that for nosotros and nosotras and ellos and ellas, we have a masculine and feminine form. So nosotros and ellos are the masculine forms of we and they. Nosotras and ellas is the feminine form of we and they. So like I said last week, when it's like a group of just men, you use nosotros and ellos. If it's a group of strictly women, like everybody's a woman, it'll be nosotras and ellas, right? So, and then like if there's a group of mixed, you always use the masculine form. So, and that stuff you'll pick up with time. I know like it's a little bit confusing at first because we don't do that in English, but it takes a little bit of time to learn, but you'll get there. So, just to review the vocabulary that we went over last week, and I gave you guys this vocabulary so we could work on like the using a star and using the prepositions and things like that. So we have la escuela is the school, el parque is the park, la biblioteca is the library, la tienda is the store, el museo is the museum, el aeropuerto is the airport. El restaurante is the restaurant. La iglesia is the church. El cine is the movie theater. El banco is the bank. Does anybody have any questions or anything on this? Okay, great. So I have some practice here that we can do. And then I have a place for the answers too. So we have the school is next to the church. Does anybody want to tell me how they would say that? Well, remember, la escuela is the school, so that's going to be the first thing that we put. I actually want to put these. Escuela, and remember we're going to use a star, right? Because we have to use a star. Está, and let's go see what next to is in our prepositions. Al lado. Al lado de. And we're going to say the church, right? So we need to know the word for church right here. La iglesia. Okay. So does that make sense to everybody on how I did that? And if anybody would like to let me know like what they think about these, that would be great. So feel free. Hi Tyseem, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'll just write down that you're here. So right now we're just doing some practice with the prepositions and our nouns that we went over last week. We didn't learn anything new yet, so. Okay, so for our next sentence, it says the student is at the bank. So remember, the student is either el or la estudiante. We're gonna conjugate is at the bank. So he is at the bank, right? He, so it's está. And then at, how do we say that? Let's go look. Ah, it's just an A. Ah, right? And then bank. Let's go see how we say that. El banco. So usually you would think it's a el banco. Oh. But that is actually partially not correct. Remember, see how it says a el? And that's kind of like, it's a lot to say, like el estudiante está al banco. So like to make that like easier and just to make it flow better, they say al banco. So they just kind of combine the two words. And like I said, that's the same thing that they do with like de el. They just say del. So that's just like little things. So the correct answer for that one would be el, oh, what have I done? Oh. The correct answer for that would just be el estudiante está al banco. Okay. For the next one, we have the dog is under the bed. So el perro is the word for dog. And then we got to use a form of a star. So it, or he or she, the dog. So we're going to use a star, right? Star. And then we need the word for under. So we can go right here. I think it's over here. Oh, no. Right here. Debajo de. Okay. Okay. And then I have the word for bed here because we didn't learn that one yet. La cama. Okay. Does this make sense to everybody how I'm doing this? Is everybody like kind of okay with this? Okay. So then for number 4, we have the cat is behind the door, and then I have the word for door. So remember the word for cat is el gato, right? And then we need a star because we have to say the cat is. So he, she, it. So we're going to use está like we have been. Está, and then we need the word for behind. So that's one of our prepositions. Behind. Yep, right here. Detrás de, right? So that's what we're going to put. Yep. De. And then I have the door. And we didn't learn that word, so I have la puerta. Oh. Okay. So does everybody kind of understand like how I'm doing this? Like it's kind of like it's kind of like a puzzle. Like it's kind of like you put the pieces together and that's how you formulate sentences. Does this kind of make sense to everybody?
For some odd reason, I like my phone keeps leaving a chat.
Okay, okay. Oh, like it keeps like cutting, like kicking you off.
Yeah, I thought that was you at first. I'm like,
No.
what I do? I ain't do nothing. I'm
No.
quiet.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't do it. I don't know, because Zoom doesn't always work on my phone either.
All right, okay.
So, I mean, if you have to use your computer, if you want to try your phone, that's fine, either way.
My room is like a little too far from where my Wi-Fi box is, so it's like I don't have no connection up there.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have the LAN cable connected to my game, and also I got another LAN cable connected to my TV. So therefore, it's directly from the box.
Okay.
I'll pick up the phone. She hit right up.
Okay.
So when I try to do wireless connection, I only have about like 2 bars, and then it'll get real laggy. So right now I'm on my phone, and I'm just using my phone's data.
Okay. Well, just do what you can. I know that there's a lot of what was that?
I wasn't saying nothing.
Oh, yeah, I know that there's that like the internet thing. I know how laggy that can be. I've had that problem in my own classes, so just do what you can. I know that you tried to be.
Yeah, that's why I just hopped on my phone so that way it's like I didn't try at all. You get me? It's like
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
downstairs because it's really hot downstairs. And I
Yeah.
got my AC on, so I'd rather be in the cool than be in the hot.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. I've had my but yeah, I mean, feel I know that you tried to be here and stuff, so if you're disconnected or something, I did mark you down as being here today, so that's fine.
Yeah, because it happened the first time, and I look like, whoa, what the heck? Did it again, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going crazy. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah, my phone does the exact same thing when I try to use Zoom, so don't worry about it. I know that if you get disconnected, or if you have Wi-Fi issues, that's fine. Like, I understand that, so that is okay. I know that
Because when I was on a laptop, I was hearing you, but it was like you was like, hey, so it's like when you was talking, it was like extended the words. It was like laggy.
yeah.
So I just hurry up and grab my phone so I can still be able to hear you, but still be able to go, still be able to go along with the class.
Yeah, that's fine. I know how that is. I had that problem in one of my own classes. Like, I had a presentation and my computer kept cutting out, so I know exactly what you mean. So, I mean, just try your best, and if something happens, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, thank you for trying though and letting me know.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we can do our last one here. I have the book is between the shelves. So if we remember, el libro is the word for the book, right? And we have to say is, the book is. It's going to be a star, right? It is. And we need the word for between. Let's look. Entre, right here. Okay. And then you guys don't know the word for shelves, so I just wrote it in here. Los estantes. Entre de los estantes. Okay. So now that we finished this exercise, does anybody have any questions or anything on it? Or how I did anything? Any questions on words, conjugations, prepositions, anything? I want to make sure that this is like more or less making sense before I move on. Is everybody kind of okay with this? Okay. So we'll kind of start something new today. So describing yourself and others and things even. So in Spanish, we use adjectives to describe things and people, which we do that exact same thing in English. So most adjectives come after the noun. So like in English, and like I said, unlike English, but there are some exceptions. So in English, just an example of that is if you would say the pretty flower, but in Spanish they would word it like the flower pretty. So like the word pretty would come after the word flower. And I know and I'll show you some examples then. I don't really think that we're going to get too much into that today, but that's just some like an example of it. And like I said, there are some exceptions. Like there are some adjectives that come before the noun. So, and we'll go over all that. So, and I also have here, you also sometimes use the other verb meaning to be, which is ser, depending on what you're describing. Okay, so we'll go over that then. So I just put some like description vocabulary in. So we have optimista is optimistic, pesimista is pessimistic, responsable is responsible, extrovertido or extrovertida is outgoing, reservado or reservada is shy, activo or activa is active, Creativo or creativa is creative. Interesante is interesting. Alto or alta is tall. Bajo or baja is short. Pequeño or pequeña is small. Rico or rica is rich. Grande is big. Pobre is poor. Inteligente is smart. Perezoso or perezosa is lazy. Aburrido or aburrida is bored. And trabajador or trabajadora is like a hard worker. So just and then to explain like the O versus the slash A and things like that, just to explain that. So adjectives are gendered just like nouns are. So like you see, like some of them ended in O, some of them ended in A, and some of them didn't have any ending at all. So, and like I said, as you can see, most of the nouns in the vocabulary have an O or an A at the end. So, and this depends on who you're talking about. So if you're talking about a female, you would say you end the adjective in an A. And if you're talking about a male, you end the adjective in O. And some adjectives don't change and are the same for everyone. So just an example of that. So like an example of that, even though optimista and pesimista end in an A, they're the same for everybody. So if you're a guy, you would still say optimista and pesimista. And it's the same with like responsable and interesante and grande, pobre. Like you see, like there's no difference in the ending. They're the same, no matter who you're talking about. So you could say he is, él es interesante or ella es interesante. It doesn't change. The only ones that change are the ones that I have like an O/A. And there's actually been a new thing, and I mean, you don't have to use it. Like this is just how I learned this stuff. Was some people will do like extroverted and then like they'll add like the at sign or they'll put like an X. It's like a gender neutral thing. Like you're free to do that or you're free to do it this way too. I'm fine with either one. And then I have for more than one person, you end the adjectives with an S to express that the plurality, like it's plural. So an example of that would, if you wanted to say they are active, you would say ellos están activos. You see how I added an S at the end of it? So, and then we'll go over all that stuff. So, and then like that's just type of thing. So, and then like I have some practice here, but we'll go over all that. So, and I just wanted to briefly introduce you guys to the verb ser. And then I have ser is also a verb to mean to be and is used to describe personality and physical traits. So emotions and temporary things usually use a star. And ser is more for like who you are, like your personality, like what you look like, things like that. And there's like a whole bunch of other stuff with this. Don't even worry about that for right now. And like I said here, this stuff can take a lot of time to learn, and I understand that completely. So really don't be stressed out. Like this takes a long time. And like I said, the subjects of every verb conjugation is the same. So you always have yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos. Like they're going to be the same for every verb. So they're going to be the exact same as a star. And then I have here, ser is also an irregular verb. So it's just one of those things that you kind of have to like know or get, or you will learn it. So just to go over the conjugations of ser, I have yo soy, which remember, yo is I, so I am. Tú eres, remember that tú means you, so you are. Él es, he is. Ella es, so she is. Usted es, so remember that's you formal are. Nosotros or nosotras somos is we are. Ellos son is they are. And ustedes son is you guys are. Does anybody have a question on this? I know that this is a little bit a lot and this takes some time, but does anybody have like any general questions on this stuff so far? Is everybody kind of okay with this? Okay. So these are just some simple sentences using ser and a star and the adjectives. They're very simple. So so remember, like I said, for ser, it's more of like your personality traits and your physical descriptions, like things that aren't going to change. A star is more for like your location, like we used with the prepositions, and like when you're like your emotions. So does anybody want to give the first one a shot when it says I am short? Anybody want to try it? So we know that the word for I is yo, right? And being short. So that's a physical description. If you're short now, you're probably going to be short forever, right? So we can go here. Then we're going to use ser, right? Because it's a physical description. You're going to say soy, right? Yo soy. Whoop, if it'll let me edit it. Short. And then that was one of our vocab words. Bajo or baja. So for me, I'm female, so I would say yo soy baja. But to give you an example of how this changes, if I was a boy, I'd say yo soy bajo. Or some people will do this. Yo soy, I don't even know how they even pronounce that, but it's like yo soy, like you would say like yo soy baja, but they spell it like that. Some people even do this. And they put yo soy baja, but they spell it like that. It's like a gender neutral type thing, and I know that that's kind of confusing, so you don't have to do that. But that is what some people do, so I just thought I'd let you know. So like that's what I would say for me. So for the next one, we have we are bored. So that's like right now, we're bored. So we're going to use the word for we, right? And then remember, we're going to use a star because it's like, it's not like a permanent thing. Like right now we're bored. That's an emotion. So remember, the conjugation for we in Spanish is nosotros estamos. We are. And then we need the word for bored. And I have that in here. So aburrido or aburrida. So you would say nosotros estamos aburridos. And the reason why you put the S at the end is because you're talking about more than one person, right? Nosotros, we. That's not one person, that's more than one, right? So you add the S when you're talking about more than one person. And I just ended it in O as well because we're talking about nosotros. So another example of that thing that they do is some people will do this and they'll put the at symbol in for aburridos, and other people will do this and they'll add the X in, but I just do that. So it's a lot easier. But so that's, does everybody like kind of understand this? Does anybody have any questions or anything? Is everybody kind of okay with this? Okay. So for the next one, we have the dog is big. So we have and being big, like he's big. So that's a physical description, right? So that's going to use ser, right? Because that's a permanent thing. So the dog, he or she is, right? The perro is big. So let's go back to our vocab. Big is grande, right? So So that's how you're going to say that. And you see, I didn't change the ending. That's because grande doesn't have a change of ending. It's the same for everybody. So for this next one, we have my sister is active. So I don't think I taught you guys that one. So mi, oh, I want to make that red. So it's mi hermana is active. So that's like her personality, like that's who she is. So I would use ser for this one. Like if you're talking, and I mean, it can have two meanings. Like if you use ser and you say mi hermana está activa, that means like she's active right now. She's doing something right now. But if you say mi hermana es activa, that means like right now. Like I mean all the time she's active. Like she's just a very active person. So I would use ser for this one. And you see ella, you're talking about my sister. So it's she is. And then the word for active right here. So since it's a girl, I would do activa. And like I said, if you felt like it, you could do the at sign or the X. Either one is fine with me because I know that's a real thing and they do it, so that's fine. So for this next one, we have he is optimistic. So we have él. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. Oh, nope. There. Okay, so he is optimistic. So we know that él is the word for he, right? So he's just an optimistic person. That's just who he is. That's his personality. So I would use ser, right? So es, él es optimistic. So let's go find the word for that. It's optimista. So, and you can see optimista and pessimista in our vocabulary, they end in an A and there's no O. So they don't change whether it's a guy or a girl. I know that they end in an O, but there's no change between them. It's just, that's just how it is. Like if you would say he is optimistic or she is optimistic, you would use optimista for either one. So only the only ones that change are the ones that I have like the /O/A. So those are the only ones that you have to worry about. All of the other ones stay the same. Like I said, optimista, pesimista, responsable, interesante, they all stay the same. So does anybody have any questions or anything on these? Or is everybody kind of okay with them?
I'm okay.
Okay, so let me go over the homework for the following class. So I have this on here. Don't even do activity 2, just do 1. So this is like getting you familiar with like the subjects of sentences. So like yo, tú, él, ella, things like that. So I know that this one says if you are in Spain and if you were in Latin America, don't even worry about the whole Spain thing. Like that's like something totally different. I didn't even teach you guys that because nobody even uses it. So like it says if you are talking directly to a friend, use, and then which one are you going to use? Remember, you're going to use this for this one. Let me find it. The subjects, you're going to use, these are going to be your answers. So you're going to pick from these. These are called personal pronouns, and that's why it says that here. Decide which personal pronoun you will use to refer to that person. So if you're talking to a friend, like you, does anybody want to tell me what pronoun you'd use for that one? You would use tú, right? Tú, because you, and that's you informal. So when you're talking to a friend, you don't have to be formal. So tú would be your answer for that one. Like an example for number 3, if you are talking directly to a judge, what would you use? Like you, but you're talking to the judge. So you wouldn't use the informal. You would use the formal, right? because you're talking to like someone who's like a judge, someone that needs like a lot of respect, things like that. So you would answer usted for number 3. Okay. So yeah, like for number 7, if you were in Spain and talking directly to a group of friends, like which would you use? Like you guys, like I'm talking to you guys. So you would use this one, right? Ustedes. Like I'm talking directly to them. So like, hey, do you guys want to do this? Or and then number 12 would also be ustedes because it says talking to directly to a group of people. So you guys again. Usually like Spain and Latin America, they use 2 different things, but the Spain one, like nobody even uses. So it's not really important to learn. So that they will both be ustedes. So like another example for number 9, if you were talking about 2 people and they're both females. So you're talking about them, you're not talking to them. So you say they, right? And they're both female, so you're going to use ellas, right? So does anybody have any questions on this? You're just pretty much saying if what word you're going to use. Is it yo, tú, él, ella, ustedes, usted, nosotros, nosotras, ellos, ellas, and ustedes? Does anybody have any questions on that? And like I said, don't worry about activity 2, just do number 1. So this is just kind of to get you guys familiar with the subjects of sentences. Does that make sense? Because I know that sometimes that's difficult. Does anybody have any questions on that or not? Okay, great. So I did want to add in here. So I just wanted to remind you guys there is lab today from 1 to 2. So if you have any questions or anything on the homework, if you have any questions on what we went over today, let me know and we'll go through it. That's completely fine. You can come to lab, just use the exact same link that you have been using for class. We'll go over the homework that I assigned. We'll probably review the prepositions briefly. We'll review the conjugations of ser and star. We'll go over like the uses of ser and star like we went over today. I might add in some more description words like emotions and things like that so we can get some practice with a star. Things like that. So I might add another thing in, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see how it goes. So if anybody, does anybody have any questions or anything on what we went over today? Any plan, like the plans for next week, any of that? I'll stop my share. And